Marjorie Greene isn't just rebranding herself recently. We're being led to believe that she's actually pretty woke at this point, at least according to Ted Cruz. Take a look.
All my Democrat friends are sending me comments from Marjorie Taylor Greene. That and they're calling her Marjorie. They love her now because I don't know. It's like fair is foul, foul is fair. How can you tell? What are you saying at this point? Are you ready to renew all the Obamacare subsidies to get this done, or do you say this is clearly in the Democrats' court?
Well, Joe, my advice is don't spend much time worrying about Marjorie is saying. What I found is a pretty consistent pattern is that whenever an elected official decides that they're going to turn on Israel and they hate Israel, you will very quickly see every other policy out of their mouth become very, very liberal. And so suddenly Marjorie's for massive government spending and taxes, and she's for open borders and amnesty. Okay, fine. That is not where the American people are. This is the Schumer shutdown. And it is the stupidest shutdown because it is a shutdown for literally no reason.
Well, I mean, except for the one. I mean, like, there's a lot of good reasons to potentially shut down the government, but the Democrats have picked one that I think a lot of people kind of agree with. Ted Cruz, you're going to lie, pretend you haven't seen the polls, but continuing those subsidies is wildly popular. We'll show that in just a minute. We'll get to that. The drums between Cruz and Schumer, who the hell cares about that? Cruz and Greene, that's pretty good. I love how mad he is because look, every one of these politicians desperately wants attention. That's like the main reason they got into this. They want attention, sure, but they want money, whatever. He wants it. Dude hosts a podcast. He wants people to talk about him. And now all of a sudden, Greene is getting far more coverage than he's gotten in years and years. And I can tell he's mad because he could have just deflected from the question. He could have said, you know, I'll let her do what she's gonna do in the House. I'm concerned with the Senate or something. Instead, he didn't just slam her on the subsidies. He implied she's for amnesty and open borders and a bunch of other stuff, whatever. What are you talking about with the open borders that she's supposedly? I haven't, and by the way, I'm not pretending to be perplexed. I don't know what she said on immigration that's implied that suddenly she's become very liberal or whatever. He said she's very liberal on every issue. That is madness. Now, look, there's madness to go around. If you're one of these Democrats that all of a sudden thinks she is awesome, that's also pretty mad. You shouldn't believe she's suddenly become very liberal any more than Ted Cruz should pretend to believe that she's become very liberal. But like he is just stewing with rage that she's getting all these write-ups in newspapers and everything. And meanwhile, nobody really cares about Ted Cruz. But let me just jump ahead to the substance of this because he's implying that she's wrong on this spending, but also the Democrats are doing it for nothing. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants these subsidies. So if you take a look at the polling, 78% think that the enhanced tax credit should be extended. 22% think that they should expire. Do you know how rare 78% approval for a policy is? This is one of the only ones. And Ted Cruz is pretending not to understand that. Now, whoever the chucklehead was that was interviewing him, this is like the area where maybe you should have looked into the polling, have that ready to go. Again, it's why I give like a Caitlin Collins credit because she would have that ready to go. Maybe Jake Tapper, there's a few people, but 78%. By the way, Republicans support extending it 59-40. That is a very popular position, even for Republicans. MAGA supporters are 57-43. He is almost by any definition in the minority if he believes that those subsidies should not be continued. This is an incredibly, wildly popular position. And he, of course, has to pretend not to understand that. And by the way, if they don't get extended, and right now it's looking like they won't. I mean, we're cruising towards the date when people's healthcare prices are going to explode. That is going to happen to all sorts of people, which is why it's very reasonable that they want it to be extended. Even if you're MAGA, your health insurance is going to get effed over too. How many people in Texas are all of a sudden going to be paying $500 more a month? $1,000 more a month, $2,000 more a month. We've seen these estimates. And so Ted Cruz can go and he can laugh and just talk about like, oh, it's just a Marge being Marge or whatever. Not too long from now, all of a sudden it's gonna look pretty bad in Texas. And there are elections in Texas coming up in this midterm. We'll see if that possibly has an effect.